Alright guys, so we're all done scraping our hide. This is what it should look like when you're all done. It's free of any meat and fat. You'll see some blood stains on it. That's where the bullet holes are. It's nothing to worry about. You'll see this patch, this darker patch here. Most hides will have even a larger patch than this, but this is what's known as the membrane. Don't worry about that. That's fine. The knife didn't take it, so we left it alone. So I consider that step one, just cleaning this hide off, getting it ready for the next step, and that's going to be preparing this hide for hair and grain removal. We're making buckskin, so we don't want any hair or what's commonly known as grain. It's a thin layer of skin that's responsible for holding that hair onto the main body of the hide, so we have to get rid of that too. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be getting this ready for that next step. I just briefly want to talk about something real quick. For those of you out there that want to do a hair on tan, I thought I would mention this so I cover all bases. Now your hide's been scraped, all the meat and fat's off, you have to dry this hide out. It's the exact opposite of what I was talking about in my storing hides video. You want this hair and the grain layer that holds the hair, and you want that to become really solidly intact and bound to this hide permanently so this hair doesn't slip out. So you have to dry the hide out. You know, commonly what was done was you'd get a big frame and you'd sew this hide into the frame all around it. It'd be suspended in a frame and you let that dry out and become rawhide. That's one way of doing it. Another way, the way I use and like to do is get yourself a big 4x8 sheet of something, OSB or plywood or something, and lay this hide out just like it is on the board, hair side down, and you begin by nailing all around the edge every 6 or 8 inches so this hide is wide out and open and nailed to the board. And then I usually slide in a stick or like a 1x backer underneath the hide between the sheet of plywood and the skin, so it just teepees the hide, lifts it up off the board, lets air in there, and any moisture that's in the hide will drain off, because you want to begin drying this hide out. And I'll usually embalm this whole thing with a lot of salt, really pack it on, and put this somewhere dry and out of the weather. It could take up to 2 weeks, but then you know your hair will be really locked into the hide when you're all said and done. I'm not going to go over that in this video because I'm going to be making buckskin, but then you'd proceed after you've dried your hide out into the tanning process. But I just want to talk about that really briefly for anyone that's interested in knowing a little bit about that. So, alright guys, I'm going to show you how I begin to set this hide up for hair and grain removal. Technically you don't have to do what I'm about to show you, although I strongly recommend it. I've tanned several hides by taking this skin at this point and throwing it in a creek. Now leave it in the creek for up to 5 days, and this hide would begin to swell a little bit, absorb a lot of water, and eventually the hair would begin to slip out of the hide. You could go and tug on it and the hair would start to pull out. And you can do that, and you could probably go ahead and start scraping all the hair off, and you have to get the grain off too, and it's probably going to be a little bit harder than if you did it the way I'm about to show you. Plus, you're not going to gain the added benefits. I'm going to be using hardwood ash, and ash contains lye. A lot of old timers would make soap out of this. And what this lye is going to do, we're going to soak this hide in the lye water. And that lye is going to begin to work its way into the hide and swell the whole hide up. And it's going to be responsible for breaking down any mucus or any kind of like glue-like mucus that's in this hide. That mucus would normally impede brain penetration when we go to tan it. But by incorporating lye into this whole process, it really sets us up for success later on, because it helps flush the hide out of any of that mucus. It's going to make the whole process of softening a lot easier in the end. So I always do this now. I see the difference it makes in my hide, so I strongly recommend it. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so there's no trick to this really. We're going to begin stirring in some ash, and I'm going to try to film and do this at the same time. So we're just going to start dumping it in here. And ideally, this is going to get to a pancake batter consistency. You just slowly work it in, stir it in. I got a stick here. And there's a way of checking the strength of this, and I'm going to show you. So we just start stirring this in. It's hardwood ash into water until we get, see there's some charcoal in here. That doesn't matter, you can scoop it out if you want. Start stirring it in, and we're looking for like a thick pancake batter consistency. I'm going to go ahead and scoop out this charcoal and I'll be back with you. Alright guys, so I've stirred in several gallons of wood ash into this bucket of water at this point. And I've scooped out all the charcoal because now I'm going to check the strength of this solution. Make sure I have enough lye in it. And I'm going to use the old timer method. I have a chicken egg. Drop it in there. And if that chicken egg floats, and it is, I got lucky there. First time shot. If that chicken egg floats, so you see about a quarter size, $half size, your solution's just right. If that egg was to sink to the bottom or be floating somewhere in between, down in the water, you know your solution's too weak. You gotta add a little bit more wood ash. And if this egg was popping up out of the water like this, you know your solution's too strong. You gotta add a little bit of water. So you just stir it in, let it settle, recheck it, and you're good. Now I know I have enough lye in this water so I could submerge my hide in here and it'll begin to absorb into the hide. So I'm going to just dunk that in there and we'll be good to go. Okay guys, grab my hide. Just going to start dunking it in here. Now ideally if you had a larger size container, this would be a lot easier because you wouldn't have the water about to pop out of the bucket here and lose all your solution. The only thing is if you have a big container, you're going to need a lot more wood ash. So I was trying to get away with it. So I'm going to slowly work this in off camera until it's all submerged. And I'm going to cap this. I'm going to put the lid on it. And we're good. We can walk away. Now, I leave my hides in this solution for about 4 to 5 days. If it's colder, it could take longer. Take 5 or 6 days. But I'll periodically, every couple days, I'll go in and stir this around. I'll move it around just so I know all the areas of the hide are exposed to the moisture. Alright guys, so I just changed my mind there last second. I got a bigger container. I was just losing too much of my mixture. So I just got a bigger container. I did the exact same thing. I put wood ash in there. And now I just went ahead and put my hide back in there and have some rocks holding it down. This way it's completely submerged and the lye will begin to work its way into the hide. So if you have a smaller hide, you can get away with using a bucket. But I just lost too much of my mixture, so I just went ahead and got a bigger container. So I'll be back with you to show you what's next. Alrighty, so Happy New Year everyone. I've had this hide in this water for at least a week at this point. And this is going to be kind of a bad example because the hide's really stained from the ash right now. But if you could see this, this hide was once a nice white, pretty supple hide when it was going into the bucket. But now it's very swollen, less flexible, less soft. Oh, most of its stretch is gone. And it's like a dark yellow color because it absorbed that lye. It's a really bad example because it's stained from the ash right now. The other telltale sign is if I flip this over, see this hair? And I begin to pull on this, this hair is coming out. This hair is slipping right out. It's been really cold, so it took me long. It took a while for this to go on. This is, like I said, it's been at least a week. But you can almost see it in there. It's not so white. It's like a yellow or like a brownish color now. The hide's absorbed that lye solution. So at this point, this hide's ready for hair and grain removal. Other thing, real quick, if you look your whole hide over and there's still one little spot that might have a patch where it's still fairly white and soft, it doesn't look like it absorbed this lye. Just throw your hide back in the water, leave it for another day until your whole hide has evenly absorbed the lye solution. You want the whole hide to get to this point at some point. So if there's any little spots that still look white and look soft, aren't swollen, throw the hide back in and give it another couple days or a day. So that way you know your whole hide at some point has absorbed that solution and the lye has done the trick of breaking down any mucus in the hide.